Shedeur Sanders just put Brock Purdy in a very awkward position. What's up? Welcome to Dre Area Sports. That's Dre Area Sports. I'm Grant Cohn. How's it going? Today we're talking about Shedeur Sanders exclusively for an hour just because he's bringing in the hits. No, we are going to talk about Shedeur a little bit and how he relates to Brock Purdy. We're going to talk about the Titans, Phillip Rivers, and grandparents and fatherhood and all of that good stuff. Today's episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/Cohn. That's mintmobile.com/Cohn. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, and $180 for 12-month plan required. That's $15 a month. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. More than 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Go check out how much you're spending monthly on mobile on your mobile plan and compare that to Mint Mobile, which is $15 a month. Today's show is also brought to you by 1-800-CONTACTS. Getting contacts doesn't have to be a hassle. Let 1-800-CONTACTS get you the contact lenses you need right now. Order online at 1-800-CONTACTS.com or download the free 1-800-CONTACTS app today. Dre, do you wear contacts?
I do not. I have perfect 20/20 vision, like a hawk.
You do? Well, good for you, Dre, because the rest of us don't. I apparently have pretty good vision in my right eye, but terrible in my left eye, which is the only reason I'm not a professional baseball player. Otherwise, I would have been hitting dingers.
There it is.
So I'm supposed to be wearing contacts, but I don't. And when I get tired, my left eye starts to wander. And if you really, I'm like looking all kind of different directions. It's a bad look. 1-800-CONTACTS could really up my game. But you know what? Thank you, 1-800-CONTACTS. Now I'm going to get them.
Do it.
All right, man. So here's the thing about Brock Purdy. No one's really talking about the Titans because the Niners are going to win. It's going to be so easy. What's the point? But there is some pressure if you think about it, because Shedeur Sanders just faced the Tennessee Titans. And Shedeur Sanders is considered by some to be like a non-NFL starter. He fell the 5th round. He's controversial. But he put up 364 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He ran for a touchdown. He was the leading rusher on his team. He lost, but he led his offense to 29 points and put up some big numbers. And he's not supposed to be good. And the Titans are supposed to be awful. So does that sort of raise the bar of expectations, what we want to see from a $53 million a year quarterback against Tennessee at home this weekend?
Absolutely. If Shedeur Sanders walks into Cleveland and he puts up 364, 3 touchdowns, then Brock should, look, Shedeur had a 97.7 quarterback rating, right? He's got Jerry Jeudy and Quinshon Judkins. Brock has Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. His numbers should be the same, if not better, you would think, from a guy who's making that much money and who's a more established quarterback in the league like Brock Purdy.
What's interesting to me is, like, they faced each other. Purdy won. And everyone act like he outplayed Shedeur by so much. Purdy was 16-29. Sanders was 16-25 in that game. Purdy threw for 168. Sanders threw for 149. Purdy threw 1 touchdown and no picks. Sanders threw 1 touchdown and no picks. Sanders was playing with Harold Fannin Jr. and Jerry Jeudy and Quinshon Judkins, while Purdy has Hall of Famers on his side of the ball. So in that game, I think it was kind of apparent that maybe there wasn't that big of a difference. And then all of a sudden, Shedeur has his big game against the Titans, and Purdy just happens to be facing them this week. And like last week, Purdy could get away with dinking and dunking. It was windy. It made sense. You're going up against a good defense. Don't take chances. But that's what he did in the second half against the Panthers as well. It's been a while since he's taken a shot really down the field to anyone except Kittle. And when he did, he got picked. Yeah. So I think there's some pressure for him to like actually look good against the Titans and not just not make a mistake.
Yeah, no, but personally, this is the way I want Brock to play. I want him to be more cautious. I want him to not force the ball downfield when he doesn't need to be. When you got guys like George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey open underneath, we saw what Mac Jones did. Mac Jones was successful because he made sure to utilize guys like Christian McCaffrey probably more than they wanted to, but it kept the chains moving. And on top of that, Mac made sure not to turn the ball over as often as Brock was turning the ball over. Now, against the Browns, what did he do? He didn't turn the ball over. He played more. He was on time. He was accurate, which you've seen Brock be in the past. But he didn't force the ball downfield like he did against the Cardinals, where he almost threw 2 interceptions. They dropped those interceptions. But then he threw 3 against the Panthers. So, look, I love that he didn't have any turnovers going against the number 2 defense in the league in the Cleveland Browns. And that's the way Brock has to play for the rest of the season if they're going to be successful the last half or last segment of this season and going into the playoffs. And I've been talking with, Tyler LaRocca. We've been saying the same thing. As long as he controls the ball, doesn't turn it over, is accurate, then the Niners will find success. But this is the Brock Purdy I want to see more often is the one we saw against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I put this out I tweeted this a couple of days ago that Brock needs to play more like Mac the rest of the season. And I think Brock likes holding the ball longer, extending plays, and pushing it down the field, which is great when you have Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. But right now, the longer he holds the ball, I mean, guys aren't getting open down the field. He doesn't have a good feel for where Ricky Pearsall is going to be. He's not that kind of player. So it seems to me like what Brock needs to do now is be more decisive, get the ball out of his hands in 2.5 seconds or less, and if he does have to hold the ball, if he makes a guy miss in the pocket and scrambles away, instead of like trying to find Jawan Jennings down the field, it's either like look for George, and if he's not there, throw the ball away or scramble out of bounds. Those are good options because when you do throw the ball down the field, when you hold it 3 seconds, those are when the interceptions come.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not really throwing picks. When you play like Mac, you're very, very good and efficient. But when you try to play like, I don't know, Super Brock, it's not working because you don't have the receivers to pull it off. Or I don't know, maybe the toe's an issue. There's a lot of factors. Just don't do it. He doesn't
have the arm strength either. I mean, look,
right.
Some of the throws he was making against the Cardinals and against, I should say, throws that he was attempting against the Cardinals and Panthers. Those are throws that if you are, a Matthew Stafford, a Josh Allen, you can get away with that because you got a strong enough arm and you're accurate and you can make those throws happen. But with Brock, he has to kind of bring himself in and say, hey, hold on a minute. I can't be that guy who's just chucking it downfield whenever I want to. I have to be more decisive. I have to be more accurate. And we saw that. A lot more shorter passes. And he had really good passes to the edges, to the sidelines. And we saw him throw those with more zip. And that's what he has to focus on. He did go deep to George Kittle. But he did that when he had to. And so he has to be cerebral about when he goes deep. Not just, like he did against the Panthers when he tried to force a shot into the end zone to Ricky Pearsall, and it was an interception. He can't make that kind of throw.
I'd like to see Brock Purdy, like, definitively outperform the opposing quarterback for once this season. I mean, he didn't definitively outperform Shedeur. He didn't definitively outperform Bryce. I mean, he was awful against the Panthers. I mean, Jacoby Brissett might have been better than Brock Purdy. Jacoby Brissett set a freaking record. Trevor Lawrence was better than Brock Purdy. Sam Darnold was right there. I'd like to see him just be way better than Cam Ward. Can you do that? Because on paper, he's not. I mean, they both have 9 touchdowns, 7 picks this year. That's mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing.
I think that Brock's the kind of quarterback where I don't know if he's ever going to be a quarterback where he's going to outperform the opposing quarterback. And I think that when he tries to be that quarterback, that's when he runs into more problems. I think that he needs to be a guy that doesn't focus on I'm going to outstat you. It needs to be I'm going to outthink you and I'm going to make less mistakes than you. And that's how we're going to win because I'm just not going to screw up and allow the other team to get the ball back. So that's the way. That's how Brock has to be. The way he played against the Browns. That is the Brock Purdy I want to see moving forward. He didn't turn the ball over. He was doing the Dougie in the end zone. Like, that's the Brock I want to see.
Speaking of Brock and the Dougie, that was interesting. How much pressure is he under the rest of the season? It seemed like he was letting some emotion go there. I mean, a lot of pressure on him. He's not supposed to be as mobile anymore because of this toe injury. He runs for 2-yard touchdown, and he's dancing. And he beats the Browns, and he's on a 3-game winning streak. That's phenomenal. But he's still – the scrutiny is different this year because of the contract that he signed, and the season isn't over, and the conversation the rest of the offseason will be largely shaped by how his season ends. So how would you quantify the level of pressure he's under for the next month or two?
I think there's a level of pressure that he's going to have to play through. I think this sounds weird, but I think he did the Dougie because, look, that's something Mac Jones would have done.
True.
Like he wanted to be
trying to show
more,
some personality, some looseness.
Exactly, and I think that's why he did it, and I'm sure he was feeling good about it too. And look, you saw the reaction from the team; they all loved it, and so I think that's something that he has to do a little bit more of. Be a little more down to earth. Lost his mind, but at the same time, the Niners are playing with house money. The Niners are a team that could easily be 4-9 right now, being the fact that they lost their starting quarterback, they lost Nick Bosa, they lost Fred Warner. A lot of people have written them off. It's like, oh, they're not going to be in the playoffs, or if they are, they'll get knocked out in the first round. So really, like any success is a huge success for San Francisco. Because of that, it's taking pressure off of Brock because he doesn't have to, be the best quarterback in the league. He just needs to make sure that they win these games. So I think the schedule and the circumstances of our season is actually favoring Brock because now he doesn't have to play out of his mind. And I think he realized that after the Panthers game, like, hey, wait a minute. I don't have to be Superman. I don't have to be, Josh Allen. I need to go out there and just execute the game plan and just find a way to win. And I think that's hopefully what's going to happen moving forward.
Yeah. I think he's under pressure because his contract is so large, and the Yorks gave it to him expecting that he would sort of bounce back from 2024 and be the 2022, 2023 Brock again and put up those kind of numbers with Christian back on the fold. And he hasn't done it yet. And while everyone loves Brock and he's a hard worker and he's a pro, that only goes so far. I mean, I'm going to invoke Brandon Ayuk for a second. And you say, like, well, they have nothing in common. Brandon Ayuk wasn't any of those things. But the thing that ultimately did Brandon Ayuk in with the Niners is the fact that he was just overpaid. I mean, they thought he'd be worth it. Then he came back, didn't live up to couldn't produce, got hurt, and it was clear that you're underwater with that contract.
Yeah.
And so they could say that it was about professionalism or communication, but to me, they didn't want to pay him anymore. And they found a way to stop, essentially. They did that with Jimmy, too. At one point, they loved Jimmy. And then it was clear that Jimmy was overpaid. And all of a sudden, it was like, well, Jimmy doesn't communicate. It's like when you find reasons to stop loving your wife or whatever, they don't communicate. Yeah, whatever, man. You just don't want to pay Jimmy what you're paying Jimmy. So they found a way to make Jimmy cheaper. And they brought him Trey, and they restructured his contract. They have shown that they won't overpay grossly for players, and they will find a way to stop. So, Brock, you got to really justify the contract because they can get out of it after 2026. You got this year and you got next year. And if you don't look like a top 10 quarterback and you're not performing like a top 10 quarterback, then guess what? Ask Jimmy what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So maybe not a ton of pressure, but it's mounting.
Oh, and they've shown it with Jimmy Garoppolo. They've shown it with Brandon Ayuk. It doesn't matter how the fans feel about the player or how the team feels about the player. If the player is not meeting their expectations, especially on a financial level, then they're going to make those moves to make sure that they are not underwater on these contracts. And look, what they did at the Brandon Ayuk, the team is like, oh, I didn't know. That's just I feel like a lot of players knew what was happening to Brandon Ayuk. They just knew they couldn't talk about it because that's not their business. Who wants to be that guy who was like, hey, did you guys hear about Brandon Ayuk's guaranteed money? And it's like, wait, what? So the team knows what the organization is capable of and what means that they're willing to go to make sure they get their money back. So, yeah, I would agree that there is pressure on Brock because, he has to perform the rest of the season and into the playoffs. If we get to the playoffs and he lays an egg in round one, kind of like what Jared Goff did last year or Sam Darnold did last year, then
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. But it's going to be a huge conversation of, okay, is this really the guy? I don't know. And it's going to put even more pressure on next season for him to succeed.
And the thing that makes Brock different than all the other quarterbacks who are making a ton of money is that Mac Jones is in the picture. If Mac Jones were on, the Bengals and had gone 5-3 when Joe Burrow was out and put up numbers that were similar to Joe Burrow, it'd be a discussion because teams don't want to spend all this money on quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And with Brock, Mac Jones exists. So if he goes out and lays an egg, the question, I think what's so interesting about the Mac Jones situation is the Niners didn't sign him for 1 year. He's not going away necessarily. And if Brock messes up, like you said, and loses in the first round and throws 3 picks, then guess who's not going anywhere? Mac. And when the Niners can get out of Brock's contract at the end of 2026, that's when Mac's contract is up. So it seems like at the end of next season, the Niners are going to have big decisions to make on all kind of people in the organization. John's contract will be up, John Lynch's. So this is all culminating to a big crescendo next season. So far, so good for Brock. They're not going to get rid of him now, but Mac Jones isn't going anywhere. And this quarterback controversy isn't going anywhere, especially if he falters down the stretch. There's a lot of pressure on him this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they invested a ton of money into his contract, and with the expectation that he could be that guy. Now, he's shown flashes of that this season. He showed it obviously in 2023, and even in 2022, he showed that this guy was better than most people thought. But so far this season, we've only seen flashes of it. We need to see it more on a consistent basis, especially in the playoffs, is when he really has to show that he's worth the contract they gave him.
And it was so interesting about football and his situation is, let's say he kind of stinks the rest of the regular season, and he's dinking and dunking and just trying to survive, not pushing the ball down the field. But he gets to the playoffs, gets hot, goes to the Super Bowl and wins. Guess who doesn't give a shit about the regular? No one cares about the regular season and what he did. It just culminated in the sixth Lombardi. But if he goes to the playoffs and loses in the first round, then you look back at this whole season. You look back at his last two seasons, and you're like, damn, man, is this who he is now? I mean, I feel like that whole range of outcomes and conversations is on the table for him. Like, you could flush the last two seasons with a good playoff run, or you could define him by the last two seasons if he falters.
Yeah, and you really could. I mean, there is the out that people will give him of, well, he didn't have Fred Warner. Well, he didn't have Nick Bosa. Well, he didn't have Michael Williams. So the defense was, kind of patchwork, even though they've been playing really good, but they're doing it against the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Browns. And the Browns offense, as good as Shedeur was last week, when we played them, they looked awful.
So that's no excuse for him to throw for 200 yards and a touchdown and a pick. Like, yeah, if he loses and he throws for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns and a pick and runs for a touchdown, then people will praise him the way they're praising Shedeur Sanders in this loss against the Titans. That's the kind of situation he's in. It's not enough, even if he wins. Remember when Jimmy Garoppolo won the NFC Championship game, throwing 8 passes? People didn't give him any credit for that. Like,
none.
What you do and how you produce and what your numbers are matter now, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And so far the last few weeks, it's been pretty meager.
I mean, if they run the table and somehow they win the Super Bowl, then I would say he has full immunity next season.
Absolutely.
For the most
part.
Life.
Well, maybe not for life.
Not for life, but I would say for
Hurts
most
getting
of
run
next
out of
season.
Philly right now, and he just won last year.
Jalen Hurts, yeah, dude, they want Sirianni fired. They want Jalen Hurts out of there, and they just won the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hurts is out of there in a year or two.
Dude, I just did a breakdown of the top quarterbacks in the NFC. And I put Jalen Hurts as number 4 only because of what he did last season in the Super Bowl. We've seen him at a very high level play extremely good. I'm like, so he's
But if you were dropped on Earth 3 months ago and all you could see is this season, what would you think of him?
Oh, I think he's awful.
Right? He's playing awful right now. Lamar's playing awful right now. Mahomes is playing awful right now. It's hard to explain. It's just that it's one of the cool things about the NFL. It changes rapidly.
It does. Rapidly.
Yeah.
I mean,
like Brock isn't playing well right now. I mean, Brock's TD to INT ratio is awful, terrible. So he's got a good win-loss record. Sweet, man. Jimmy had that on the Niners too. Like, he's got to step it up.
He does, dude. And but I don't know if this is the guy that's going to say, okay, so against the Titans, this guy's going to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't know if Brock's that guy. I think Brock might throw for 250 and have 2 touchdowns. And then McCaffrey will have a touchdown and somebody else have a touchdown. And that's just what he does. He just keeps the chains moving and finds a way to keep them winning. I mean, how many games in 2023 did we see where we were like, dude, Brock is just lighting it up right now? That's not really his game.
You know who would throw for 364 against the Titans this week? Mac Jones. All right, let's move on. Talk about something else. All right. Daniel Jones out for the season. We were looking at that Colts game as one of the tougher games in the Niners schedule because the Colts are – like statistically, objectively, way better at home in that turf. They're a fast team. They have some really good players. Now they don't have their quarterback, but they do have 45-year-old Phillip Rivers. He could be a future Hall of Famer, but he's 45. I mean, how big of a break do you think this is for the Niners?
I think it's a huge break for the Niners. I mean, this was going to be the first test. The Colts, then the Bears, and then Seattle. And now you're probably going to go against Phillip Rivers and all 10 of his kids. That's who's going to show up on Sunday for the Niners next week. I don't think Anthony Richardson will go out there. I don't think Riley Leonard's going to be out there. I think when the Niners take on the Colts, it'll be Phillip Rivers, and they're going to tell him, hey, just don't turn it over, man. Just make your passes, take your shots. And I think Phillip Rivers, for the most part, he's probably been watching a lot of Joe Flacco highlights and saying, man, I could do that. You guys, look at this. I could do that. And he got his chance. And look, I'm a huge Phillip Rivers fan. I love that guy. But at 44 years old, I don't know, man. This seems like a stretch to bring him in there, have him relearn the offense in a couple of weeks, and hopefully lead us, into the playoffs. That's a lot to ask.
On the one hand, it's a great break for the Niners because you should win this game. 44-year-old guys haven't played in 5 years. What are the expectations? And if you do win, this is a game you expected to lose, then now you're going to win. Maybe this helps the Niners avoid going to Green Bay in the first round of the playoffs or facing the Rams in the first round of the playoffs. Maybe this gives them Carolina or something or something like that. So that's good. But the other thing is, like, it's so house money for the Colts, right? Like, they're not expected to win. And if somehow the Niners lose to Phillip Rivers, what does that do to their psyche, man? You lost to Phillip Rivers.
If we lose to the Colts and Phillip Rivers, then I feel like the Niners are just like the Bears, where you're like, they're the number 1 seed, and we all knew that's not going to last, and now they're number 7 seed. But as of now, if the playoffs started today, the Niners would take on the Eagles in Philadelphia. Now, let me ask you, Grant, if the Niners took on Philly right now, would they beat them? With how bad the Eagles offense has been playing.
Yeah, it's true.
I think it could go either way.
It could go either way.
It depends on how. It depends on what Eagles team shows up.
Because the Eagles still have a good defense, and the Niners' defense has real issues, man. Real issues. Like, they did well against Shedeur. I mean, I think the wind helped. Like, they did well against Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is pretty bad on the road and pretty good at home. I mean, they struggled against Jacoby Brissett. They got absolutely eviscerated by Matthew Stafford. Oh. I mean, really, like, Phillip Rivers, he's got a good tight end. He's got a good run game. He's got multiple receivers. He doesn't have to do that much. The Niners don't have much of a pass defense. If he can just sit in the pocket and distribute quickly, he could do that.
He could.
Don't overlook him and the Colts. He's not going to have to do that much, and he's going to be a better option than freaking Riley Leonard.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, but he won't freak out. He'll go out there and be like, I'm just going to play the game. While the other guys, like, they're going to freak out. They're going to be like, okay, season's on the line. I can't screw up. And if it's Anthony Richardson going out there, all he's going to be telling them is, hey, just go deep. Just go deep. I don't care. Just go deep. That's all he does. He throws a really good deep ball, and that's really about it. But speaking of Matthew Stafford, Grant, I've been wanting to tell you, man, I love the Stafford look you got going on. The beard, the hair. It's right on par.
I'm trying to look like Cooper Kupp.
Or Cooper Kupp.
Or Ricky Pearsall. Or Matthew Stafford. Thank you, man.
Or what's his name? Jake Paul.
Oh, that's true. I'm just committing to it till the end of the season, see how it goes. I've run out the beard for about a year, a month and a half.
Someone in the chat was saying that your beard was fake. I was like, no, that's
real.
It's real. It's real. You can see it.
So we got Cam Ward and the Titans this week, and then you got two AFC South teams. The games matter, but starting week 17, it's just NFC North playoff team after NFC North playoff team, and then the playoffs start. So the next 2 weeks are interesting tests, but ultimately, like, it gets real when they face the Bears at home. Then they follow up with the Seahawks at home, and then the playoffs start, assuming the Niners make it, which they almost certainly will. So don't mess up. Don't mess up the next 2 weeks. Yo, speaking of the last 4 games, are these Juwan's final 4 regular season games? Do you think that he's entering his final stretch with the 49ers? He's a free agent after this season.
I'll say this. Before I knew about the Brandon Ayuk voided guaranteed money, I would say this is Juwan's last season. No doubt about it. He's gone. The way he's performed this season, in the past couple of weeks, he's done good, but for the most part, he's performed terribly. Dropping passes, just not being available. I would say no, he's not going to come back. But now that the guaranteed money for Ayuk has been eviscerated and he'll be gone after this season, I think the Niners will try and offer him like a 2-year deal, maybe $17, $20 million a year, and bring him back on a short term. But I don't see them giving him a 4-year deal unless he does something spectacular in the last part of the season in the playoffs. The most I'd give him is a 2-year deal, and then if not, see you later. I'm going to draft a receiver in the first round.
The thing about the new information we have about Ayuk, the fact that they took away his guarantees in July, like assuming before even training camp started, does that sort of change the way we look at Juwan Jennings' holdout? He probably knew, and maybe he was thinking, hey, man, this is my opportunity. They're not committed to Brandon Ayuk. There is a spot for me. I'm going to push for it. And he didn't get it. What he got was some incentives for this season. I think if he were going to be here next year, if he were going to get that extension, he would have gotten it by now. He could get it today.
They could be negotiating it.
It's not like something changed 3 weeks ago and now they're scrambling to get an extension done. Like this could have been handled. They extended Colton Kivitz. That was their decision. So I wouldn't be surprised if he signs a 2-3 year deal with some other team next year. He could be really good for that team, but I don't think he's coming back to I think it's over. And I think the reason the Niners are feeding him all these targets is they want to improve the comp pick they get when he leaves.
Yeah. Well, and they got Jordan Watkins, who they're not even using, but I guess they're going to use him next year.
Don't forget DeMarcus Robinson. Oh, my goodness. How many catches do you think he has this year?
I don't know. He's got a lot of drops, though. those are the ones I remember are the deep passes. The one Mac threw him a deep bomb, and he just dropped it. He was like, oh, my gosh, that's why we got you. But still, I think with DeMarcus Robinson still under contract next season, Jordan Watkins, Ricky Pearsall, I think Jennings' days are numbered. I don't think he's going to come back. They may offer him a short deal, but that's really it.
13 catches for DeMarcus Robinson. But I think they trade for someone. I don't think they draft another wide receiver because they drafted Pearsall. And I think with Kyle, he's so tough on rookies. He doesn't really want to play you until it's your third year if he has it his way. I mean, he didn't really like Brandon Ayuk until his third or fourth year in the league. Ricky Pearsall still runs cardio half the time. I mean, I think
jumpers.
Yeah. I like Ricky. Ricky, I wasn't trying to snitch on you on that, but I'm just saying, I bet Ricky, if he stays healthy, will be Kyle's guy next year. But
bro, I couldn't believe you went there. That was pretty awesome.
I thought it was a good question because
it was though. It was. He was like, oh.
Because we asked about Ricky every week, and I was trying to bring something new to the question. That way, Kyle could be like, it's the same answer every week. No. I see improvement from rookie, and I acknowledge that I'm not an expert and I don't know what I'm looking at, and I'm clearly he's not ready to play football, but he looks like he's running hella fast and it looks like he's jumping up and down. So can you explain to an idiot, to a layman like me, what I'm not seeing? I think that was, and it got him kind of defensive, and he gave more information, and lo and behold, guess who was back the next week? Ricky.
He was back.
Not he did anything. I played in my fantasy league. The only reason I've been asking is because I drafted him in the 5th round of my fantasy team. And I've been like, yo, why are you guys doing this to me?
I've been choosing him on Prize Picks.
Why are you messing with me like this? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded for someone like DJ Moore. He's kind of on the outs with the Bears. He could fit in and do, Brandon Ayuk's job for not quite as well, but sort of the same type of player. I think they want someone a little bit faster than Juwan Jennings. Not hard to find, considering he's the slowest, but I think they're looking for someone a little bit faster.
Juwan Jennings is too slow. He's almost like a tight end out there. But there was some report that somebody said, oh, the Niners, they have to go out and sign George Pickens. I'm like, dude, are you serious? No. This organization? No. They will not.
They got upset with Brandon Ayuk for being uncommunicative and wearing the wrong shorts. Well, Pickens will communicate. I don't think you want him to.
No. Right. Yeah, that would be bad. That'd be bad.
So 3-game winning streak. The league is wide open. We just watched, week 14, no Niners football. Every team you think is good isn't that good.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are thinking, why not this year? Right? They got the special teams. They got Saleh. They got 2 quarterbacks. Why not? Well, if it doesn't work out for the Niners, and odds are it won't. I mean, really, it's the NFL. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, what do you think will be the biggest reason why? The number one reason they fall short, if they fall short?
It's their defense. They don't have Nick Bosa. They don't have Fred Warner. No Michael Williams. But the Bosa and Warner thing, that's the biggest problem. And I think that when they go against elite offenses, like we saw against the Rams, and we'll see later on going into better offense like the Bears and the Seahawks, if they struggle against the Bears and Seahawks in back-to-back weeks, or even struggle against the Colts, so 3 weeks in a row they struggle, I'm going to have no confidence that they're going to go out there and take on teams in the playoffs and be able to get all the way to the Super Bowl and let alone win it. That's their biggest flaw is their defense. They're so thin on defense. And I think that's going to be the problem that's going to hang them up is that even if the Niners offense starts to score, can they stop the other offense? I don't think they can. I don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they're well coached on defense.
Oh, absolutely.
They have some good players. They're actually solid against the run. It's just that the Niners run game is bad. So it's like the opponent can run better than the Niners can run most of the time. And then you mentioned with Warner and Bosa not being there, that really affects the passing game the most. As good as Warner is against the run, so is Tatum Bethune. Warner is the best coverage linebacker I've ever seen. He shuts down the middle of the field. Bosa's an elite edge rusher.
Amazing.
Without them, I mean, you look at the stats. Passer rating allowed, average passer rating allowed. The Niners are like 101, which is like fifth or sixth worst in the league. And their quarterback right now, his quarterback rating is 87. I mean, he's kind of struggling. He's turning the ball over. He's not pushing it down the field that well. So if you're going against a team that can really throw, Detroit, Green Bay, the Rams, how do you keep up with that? Unless Jair Brown has an interception, Lenore has an interception. And that's what the Niners have been getting recently.
Yeah.
But it seems like they just can't keep – I mean, go back to that Rams game where Mac Jones played. That was as probably the best game a Niners quarterback has played this year. He was as close to lights out as you could be. 33 of 39, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. It was not nearly enough. Not even close to enough.
Yeah.
Because the Niners defense was basically like, all right, we're just going to play zone and hope that Matthew Stafford makes a mistake. No, he didn't.
No. He did the opposite. Lit him up.
Yeah.
And when you look at these two teams, or when you look at the Niners, I should say, the Niners, when it comes to like offense, they have the number 5 ranked passing offense, or number 6 ranked passing offense in the league.
Yep.
But then when it comes to total defense, they're number 20. And the teams that are in the playoffs are all top 10, basically all top 10 teams. Rams are ranked number 13, but we know how good they can be. So that's the problem is the game we saw against the Rams, that's my biggest fear is that we get in the playoffs and we can't stop the other offense because our defense just isn't that good. Now, granted, we're going against Matthew Stafford, the next coming of Grant Cohn over here. He absolutely lit them up. And so, but we kind of expected that. We kind of expected Stafford to light it up. And it was more of like, how can you stop Stafford? And they couldn't. Do you feel the same way about guys like Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, Sam Darnold? Are those guys going to light it up?
I think Jordan Love could do that to the Niners if there's no pass rush. I think Darnold could do that to the Niners if there's no pass rush.
Yeah.
What was disconcerting about the game against the Rams is it wasn't like Devontae Adams or Puka Nacua just absolutely killed them. I mean, they were good, but
yeah.
I think 3 or 4 tight ends caught touchdown passes in that game. I mean, they had Luke Gifford in a blender. There were guys wide open down the field, tight ends that you don't think of, guys who aren't beating man-to-man coverage. They were it was like schematic wins. And Saleh had no answers. Now, a third time facing that team, I would imagine he'd have a much better game plan. But
you would hope.
I mean, you did well against the Browns. Guess what? They have no receivers you're worried about. When you get to the playoffs, you got to face the Seahawks without Warner and Bosa, and you got to have an answer for JSN. I don't know if you have that.
That's a lot. And right now the Seahawks are on fire. I mean, they're winning games. Their defense has been really, really good. They have the number 6 ranked defense in the league. And look at, the teams that are in the top 6 in defense, the Texans, the Browns, the Broncos, the Chargers, and then Packers, Seahawks. Those are 2 teams, Packers, Seahawks, that you're probably going to have to face one of them in the playoffs. And can the Niners offense overcome a good defense, but also can the defense overcome a better offense than what we saw from either the Panthers or the Browns? And that's the big unknown. I want them to succeed, dude. Don't get me wrong, but I am not confident that they're going to do a great job defensively against some of these better teams, even against Baker Mayfield.
I just think it's going to be interesting to see how this goes down. If they ultimately lose a playoff game where Brock plays really well and the offense puts up 30 points, but the defense has another stinker like they had against the Rams, and they have no pressure. Like that game, they didn't touch Stafford. If that's how it ultimately goes down, I think it'd be a shame because on paper, this offense is really, really, really good, especially if Brock's playing at his best. And you can't expect this offense to go anywhere without like a pass rush to complement it.
Yeah.
All you need is a pass rush if the offense is legit. Forget the run defense. Teams are going to be playing catch up. And there were so many pass rushers available, and you didn't even have to give up a first-round pick, and you just decided not to. So it would be a shame if the offense really catches fire and they lose because they can't touch the opposing quarterback. Like that's an issue you could have solved.
I mean, not getting anybody, it was so hard.
That Keon
was the
White
worst
and Cleveland
thing.
Farrell was a good start. It was a great start, but it's not enough.
Yeah, they needed to get somebody. I don't care if it was Jalen Phillips, if it was Chubb. They needed to get somebody that could put pressure on the quarterback, and at least it sends a message to the rest of the team like, hey, we went and got somebody just to give us a hand. Here's some more reinforcements. Let's go.
We expect to win the Super Bowl this year. You do nothing. It's like, hey, guys, we're just trying to get to the playoffs to get the ownership off our back because last year was rough.
Well,
next year is what it's all about.
Do you think that getting the playoffs is good enough for this season? Or do you think ownership will say, no, this was a freaking failure?
No, I think when they gutted the roster, took on a record amount of dead cap, they were pretty much saying, look, we understand you have some excuses this year. You're going to go young. Make the playoffs, show improvement, and the make or break year. I think the make or break year is 2026. You look at the way the contracts are structured.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Juszczyk won't be here in 2027. They could get out of McCaffrey in 2027. Where's Trent Williams going to be in 2027? Where's John Lynch going to be? Where's Brock Purdy going to be in 2027? I think it's all kind of building up to next year. And I think what the ownership thought was, if we're going to gut the roster this offseason, maybe give them 2 years. If we tell them, look, we're going to not sign any of the vets except for Brock, and we're going to make you fill in the roster with young players that you draft. We'll give you 2 years to draft and develop, and we'll see how it's going. And we'll assess from there. I think that would be maybe a prudent way to go about it instead of just firing them after 2024, which was a disaster.
Yeah.
So that's why I look. Because like, isn't that what happened with Sean McVay, right? Like they won the Super Bowl. The year after that, they went 5-12. They gutted the roster, took on a bunch of dead cap. They went 10-7, made the playoffs. I think lost in the first round. Came back the next year, went 10-7, won a playoff game. So I think that's the challenge from the Niners ownership to John and Kyle. Like, do what McVay and Snead did. They did it. They rebuilt their team in a year. Why can't you? And so far, mixed results. We'll see about this draft class, but they are 9-4. If they go to the playoffs, and that could be, they could say, look, we're right on pace with the Rams from a couple of years ago. Give us one more year. Watch where this goes.
Yeah, no, this is next year is like they were saying in the chat. Next year is the last dance. Next year is, and it sucks because the Super Bowl's in Levi Stadium this year, but next year is like, hey, this is it. We're going all in. Let's get it done. And I still think that they're going to sign another pass rusher in the offseason because of the money they're recouping off of Brandon Ayuk. I think the Niners are infamous for trying to get pass rush. And so I think they're going to if they don't draft another pass rusher in the early rounds. But next year is definitely the last dance. And if they don't get it done, I think we might see the end of the John Lynch era. They won't part with Kyle Shanahan, but I think Lynch might be out if they don't do anything next season.
Yeah, I mean, also, if they go on a deep playoff run this year, maybe he gets an extension. If they lose in the first round, he could be a lame duck next year. Again, his contract goes through 2026, which is interesting. Kyle's through 2027. All right, let's do prize picks. Let's go Niners. Passing yards start with Brock. It's a more or less question, 247.5. It's creeping up as the week goes along. He hasn't eclipsed 200 yards since he came back from the second toe injury. They're expecting big things because, again, Shedeur lit up this defense last week. What do you think? More or less 247.5.
I think that's exactly what he's going to do. So I'll say more because I'm picturing 250.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's going to be more as well. Yeah. There's pressure on him to do something. 184.5 for Cam Ward. He threw for 117 last week. Yikes. In a win. His receivers suck, to be fair.
They're horrible.
They're really bad. Niners going to play soft zone coverage and give him every 6-yard pass that he wants.
I would say more. I bet you he puts up a lot of yards.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know about points, but a lot of yards.
I can see that. Tony Pollard went for 161 last week. I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, which is why they're setting it at 40.5 right now. So what do you think? More or less? More. I think so too.
Because most running backs are getting at least close to 100 yards against the Niners.
I could see the Niners loading the box and forcing Cam Ward to beat him. But even if they do that, receiving yards, Jawan 47.5. He's been getting a lot of targets recently. Still only had 39 yards last week. 47.5.
Lower. Because all of his throws are just short. They're short passes.
That's true. Okay, how about Juszczyk? 7.5. He's been kind of like
more.
I'm a big Juszczyk fan. Absolutely.
We know it.
Oh yeah, dude. He's a big Grant Cohn fan too. Luke Farrell, 2.5 receiving yards.
Ugh. More, but then again, last week he had a touchdown that Brock Purdy threw into the stands, and I was like, "Whoa, what happened there?" And that would have.
I'm a big Luke Farrell guy.
Yeah,
let's go with Yet. Let's do it.
He can't block the way he was supposed to, but he can catch.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, those are our picks. We're flexing it. We're submitting it. Download Prize Picks. Use promo code Cohn, COHN. Play $5. Get 50 instantly in lineups when you use my promo code. All right, we got some super chats, and then it's Kyle Shanahan time. Double B Studio says, can you tell Kyle what Sanders' numbers were last week and ask what's Brock's expectations versus that team? Yeah, I'm sure he'll love that one. And then he says, if what you and Larry's speculation on BA situation is true on Jed and Parag, could Kyle and Lynch be looking for a new team next year? We talked about that at length today. It's possible. There is pressure, but so far they seem like they're on pace to keep their job with this 9-4 start. Double B Studio says, not sure if you saw Jeremy Renner's comment about Niners winning Super Bowl, but he's throwing the Bay Area's biggest party. Would you go? No. Or does Grant Cohn cover the Niners Super Bowl and go home after? I go home after. Jeremy Renner
plays it safe.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner. I liked him in the town. He was solid in the town. Was he in the town? He was in the town, right?
He's the one who played Hawkeye, right?
Yeah, he was like the
with bow and arrow.
He was his friend who kind of got him in trouble, but he was loyal at the same time. He was from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
Too Much Sauce says, has Jed York ultimately grown as an owner since Lowell's legendary press conference in 2017?
Probably not. I think he's the same guy. He's just not as impulsive as he used to be. And I think before he wanted to be in front of the camera more often. Now he's like,
that's a big one.
Maybe I shouldn't be doing that.
Staying in the background, but is he less meddlesome? I mean, who did this with Ayuk?
I'll say this:
John and Kyle. Who wanted to get rid of Dre Greenlaw? Was it John and Kyle? Because John and Kyle went to Greenlaw's house and were like,
"Yeah," they were like, hey, "Come back,
please. I'm so sorry. We'll work it out." I think it was Jed. So I don't know.
That Lowell's press conference with Jed, legendary. And I also loved when Lowell asked Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick kept saying, "I just got to be better." Well, what does that mean?
Yeah,
I just got to be better. You keep saying that, but what does that mean? I was like, thank you, because he kept saying the same thing over again. I just got to play better. Oh.
My dad was cool. He always approached those press conferences like a professor, and the people up there, like the athletes and the coaches, were students. Yeah. And if you were gonna like mail it in and not be specific, no. You could do better. Use your words.
Like exactly.
I love that shit. Steve Lewis says, if it was absolutely necessary, what player has to be a player would Kyle trust to call plays? Juszczyk. Brendel. Not a quarterback. Juszczyk. DGTY225 says, is Alfred Collins playing up to par with what is generally accepted for a second rounder? Is a second rounder supposed to be so groundbreaking? I think he's been a solid pick. I think he's been exactly what they want him to be. Exactly what they want him to be, yes.
Absolutely.
Michael isn't quite the pass rusher they thought he would be, but maybe they also felt it would take a few years for him as well. I mean,
I think they did. And that's why they got Bryce Huff. It's like, hey, that way you don't have to be the pass rusher. We had this guy, and then he got hurt.
True. Joseph Ernberg says 35-17 Tennessee. Brock will crash and burn this season. Wow.
Whoa.
Then he says, Grant, join my Minecraft realm. I have diamonds.
My kids play Minecraft. I don't. Grant, it's on you.
Yeah. I don't have time for that. I got back into reading. I haven't been reading much the last couple of years, and now I'm getting books on tape. I got Audible, but then they made me want to pay like $15 a month, and I don't know how I feel about that. But you could just get it on YouTube. You could just get the audiobooks on YouTube.
There's a lot of audiobooks on YouTube.
Yep. So that's what I'm trying to do, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of
You
nice.
know, listening to audiobooks is very popular right now. So with me, it's either audiobooks or podcasts. That's all I listen to. And then I also do a podcast. So I'll admit, sometimes I do listen to my own podcast to see how I did. But audio listening is for dialogue, you know, with podcasts or books. That's what's in right now. Even my kids are doing it.
Yeah, it's nice. It feels like someone's reading to you, which is always comforting. I feel like I'm 4. And then
Yeah.
I was an English major in school, so it's nice to just think that way like a critic and think about the characters and the themes and the
But is it
philosophy.
reading though? Is it? You know, my wife always says, "Oh yeah, I read all these books over the summer," but she listened to all of them. So I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. Is it really reading a book, or is
It's
it
kind of
not?"
like running on a treadmill, right? Because like it's pulling you along. You don't really have to do the work, and if you kind of zone out, you could miss paragraphs. But at the same time, like I think it depends on how you learn. I'm an audio learner, so when I read anyway, in my mind, I'm reading the words to myself. I'm going hella slow. Sometimes I move my lips like I'm an idiot. So I don't. It's no slower for me. I mean, I think it's actually when I'm engaged. I think it's great. I can see it. I can hear it. It works for me. I like it. Anyway,
Absolutely.
read a book. Thanks for watching, everyone. Dre, always a pleasure. You bring the energy and the insight, and you're great. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everyone. For sure.